Welcome from the editorial board of the BUP portal to a new edition of our Expert Talk series. It is a pleasure to receive today Myriam Olivier, PhD in Civil Engineering at Head of Mission at ASTUS-construction, France. She has worked previously in several international research projects and also in the recently completed H2020 BIMplement project, on which we'll be discussing today in the framework of the build-up topic of January, which is digitalization in the construction sector. Welcome, Myriam.
Bonjour, Camillo.
To start our interview, can you present your background in European projects and also mention how have you been involved in BIM and the digitalization of the construction sector?
Well, for a long time, I've been a researcher and managing research teams in different subjects, mainly in building energy efficiency. And I got involved with BIM something like 6 years ago and took the head of ASTUS, which is working mainly on BIM and use of BIM for building companies. And that's why I was involved with BIMplement. And it started in September 2017 and just ended last August.
And what are the main challenges and goals of this BIMplement project?
As many other EU projects, we address quality construction of the construction, as well as improving building energy efficiency. Most of the time, the question of performance gap is established for exploitation phase of the building, and it's calculated during the design phase. And what's missing in it is what's going on during the construction phase. And that's why we focused during BIMplement on site workers.
And what can you mention as main outcomes and learnings from BIMplement?
Our objective was to include site workers in a sort of enlarged BIM process, and so get the site workers to be able to make a better implementation and better quality of the building they are implementing on site. And to that end, we used two paths to introduce site workers to BIM. The very first one required a good level of BIM maturity for building company. And what we proposed was to link BIM model objects to the skills and competencies of workers, which were needed to implement this object. And this needs the BIM model to be very well organized with a very good classification of objects. And it has been applied to ventilation and air tightness, which means that all objects meaning a good air tightness or implementation of ventilation was linked to what kind of skill was needed for this type of object. This tool has been developed by our Dutch and Lithuanian partners. And BIM is then sort of a career that explain and transform and explain how to use the skills to be implemented. However, what happened is that BIM maturity of building companies were too low. And if we made the tool, but we could not implement it really. But hopefully it should be tested in future projects, which means that we had to develop a second path, which was intended for the majority of cases where BIM maturity of on-site workers was too low. And in that case, BIM was a tool itself and for building company and help them to improve implementation, site implementation. And to that end, we developed original training content, and we tested this training content to building company on 40 sites, real sites in all Europe. And we teach the building company why they should use the project manager BIM models in addition to their classical 2D plans, and how to do it. And sort of, we tried to have in this way our building company to participate in a global BIM process, which means to enlarge the actual BIM process, which is limited to project manager teams.
And in a concrete way, how this translate? What are the applications of BIM on inside construction?
On-site workers usually are given only 2D plans, and sometimes it's a whole bunch. I mean, I've seen projects in which there was 200 plans, small, large, whole buildings, small parts, details, and so on. How do you want a site worker to understand, to have a real good visualization of a project, just packing up all those plans? During the design, project manager have been working with maybe 10 engineers to manufacture, to make, to create, to design maybe 5, 6 BIM model, and you want to have a building company within 2 weeks to get the whole idea of the project. It's really hard, and particularly with NZBB building. There's too many networks that just get mixed up together. So what we do first is train them to use a BIM model with a freeware software, which is a viewer, and just visualize the project, visualize the weak point, and make the link between this BIM model and the 2D plans. And that's feasible, even with a small BIM model, even with a 3D model. And then the second step will be to link to this model all the key information building company needs on the project. It will be something like, of course, the 2D plans, but also any kind of point of attention, the technical detail to realize a very specific part of the project. Can be instruction guide for installation of HVAC product, could be quality control sheets and things like that. All of these elements which are so difficult to get on the site. No, it's always in the manager's office, in somewhere else, but what we try to have is all site workers to be able to get this information right away. Third level will be train people to communicate. It's so easy with the viewer. You have lots of tools, and this will improve collaboration because it's very easy to send a copy of a picture of a copy of the image of the model to someone else and ask a question. Is that the right place? I changed the place of my pipe. I changed the product and things like that. And developing this collaboration, you get you to the fourth step, which is as-built model. Instead of just asking the company, please send me an Excel file at the end of the project with all your change. You know, it doesn't happen. You never get all the change done. But with the BIM model, the company can directly send a message and say, here's the new document with the new product, and please change it into the model. And we tested it, and we demonstrated that with these new skills from the company first can answer a call for bid, really, because they can know what they have to do. And during implementation, they can develop much more skill with trade collaboration, trade collaboration.
Yeah, indeed, coordination in construction site is quite a key element, and collaboration. And can you maybe mention what can you see as a main barrier for implementing these technologies in construction sites and companies?
One thing is get a communication about BIM that is more adapted to companies. Right now, they don't want to get involved with BIM because they don't know what it means for them. Once they get the training we've been testing in BIMplement, they really feel that they can do something with BIM and they really feel involved. Another element is the client. We tested lots of, work with lots of public authorities. They don't know also what they can do and what BIM can do with their project. And it's important to make them aware of their role with BIM. And one of it is ask for training for the building companies so that they can use BIM model on site and improve the quality of the BIM of the project while implementation.
Myriam, and I would like to ask you, besides the use of BIM modeling and management in different phases of the construction projects, what are other fields where digitalization has developed, maybe in the French context, concerning digitalization applied to maybe fabrication or other fields of the construction sector?
One good example is the wooden construction sector. For maybe more than 15 years now, 20 years, they have been very used to use 3D machine that makes the cuts of the wood plates and the wood structure. And they are all equipped with it. And these wood companies are not afraid of BIM, but they don't have for the moment the means to do it. But right now, the software are developing real good, they're trying to merge their software with BIM requirements. And that is a real good example and could be a real good example for other building companies. Just show that their peers, wood companies, are able to do it. And so they understand, maybe it will be easier for them to be convinced because other companies do it also.
Great. Thank you, Myriam, for these insights. And
You're welcome.
thank you all our audience for following.